Hey everyone, we're not dead. We're very much alive. It's your friendly neighborhood fanboys. Welcome. We are here. I am your host, Jazz King. With me as always, Mr. Adam Leonard.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, we're alive. We're whoop whooping. It's 1 a.m. where I am right now. I'm going on like 3.5 hours of sleep. It's fantastic because life is awesome. I got 10 days to GTFO and find a new place. And yeah, it's all good. It's very good.
Yeah.
But hey, faithful dozens, we're alive. We're here. Sorry for the delay. But we're back. And yeah, Adam, how are you on this particularly late evening?
I'm doing good. It's not as late over here, but it's still like 10 o'clock at night, and it's a Thursday night, so I have 4 days work in a row. So I'm at that Friday point, but I'm a little worn out.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Life is good. We got lots of stuff that happened in our interim that we might touch on, and we might not. We're just kind of going to go for it, talk about some super cool things that are happening in the world of geekdom and pop culture. Let's see. What have I been up to? I have been reading a lot of comics because it's not stressful, and video games are a thing that take time. So I read Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a 6-issue miniseries, a crossover between DC Comics and IDW Publishing. It was freaking fantastic. And it's a real thing, and it works really, really well. Ra's al Ghul teams up with the Shredder, so 2 armies of ninjas fighting Batman, who's an army of ninjas in and of himself, and Splinter and the Turtles, who are also an army of ninjas. So it was fantastic. Mutated Bat villains. That's all I'm going to say. You should read it.
Did you read today that apparently Brad Garrett's the voice of Krang in the Turtles movie?
Wait, like Raymond's brother?
Yes.
That works for me.
You want to hear something really disturbing? Because this is an article I read today. Apparently they still haven't actually recorded Krang's voice yet.
Oh, wow. Isn't that movie coming out in like a week? Or like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Apparently they had Fred Armisen on the line for the role for the longest time, and then something else came up, and so now they've got Brad Garrett.
Oh, man. I hope it sounds like really superimposed. Like everything else flows really well. It's like, I'm a Krang. I'm a big brain guy. Be awesome.
It's like I don't have anything against Brad Garrett. It's just like if I could pick somebody who I think is the least Krang-like.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or maybe he's the voice of a suit. Because remember how his like suit in the cartoon would occasionally go like kind of thing. Maybe he's just doing those noises.
I was saying today, and I'm just throwing this out there, Michael Bay, I have no interest in seeing your movie, but if you decide to cast Gilbert Gottfried as the voice of Krang and let him like improvise all of his lines, I'll go see it.
That would be awesome. Look at all these Ninja Turtles. Oh boy.
It'd have to become like R-rated because you just swear a whole bunch.
No, I'd be down with that. I mean, it'd be very authentic New Yorker.
The
Turtles just be like, "Hey, fuck you, Shredder. Yeah, fuck you." That'd be terrible. What am I saying?
Do you know that somebody's releasing an adult parody of it called 10-Inch Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Ew.
Yeah.
10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles, huh?
Yeah, it's by that company Wood Rocket that just like basically does nothing but like porn parody.
Wood Rocket?
You've never heard of Wood Rocket?
I've never heard of Wood Rockets.
They're like I said, like you always find like articles about them because they're like a company that just does like the Simpsons porno, the Family Guy porno.
The Simpsons. Ew.
It's like a Sponge something Square Nuts one.
Gross. But also quite fascinating. I think I know what I'm doing when this podcast is over.
I hope Jessie doesn't wake up. I swear I hope Jessie does not wake up.
No, she's just giving me dirty looks. Also, slightly fascinated looks. Now I'm just really confused.
So you've been reading Batman and Turtles comics. Back to point.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a 6-issue miniseries. Super duper fun. Also been reading the Last Days of Superman, which is like a big deal over at DC Comics because I think they're gonna kill New 52 Superman,
Okay.
and he'll probably stay dead because they got another Superman because comics. So
Oh. Are they going to bring in a new 52 Superboy, Steel, Vindicator, and Cyborg?
no, they just brought in pre 52 Superman
Oh.
because
The fuck?
because comics.
Oh, okay.
Convergence happened. Realities converged. Nifty title there, right? And pre New 52 Superman got stranded in the New 52 universe with Lois and their newborn child. So, yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to be like, hey, we got the old Superman. He's going to take your place. Because no one seems to like New 52 Superman. I think he's fine, but...
When is our Hanna-Barbera stuff coming out?
Future Quest came out this past week, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so I need to get it. I haven't picked it up yet.
What are the rest of them?
Scooby Apocalypse is next month, and I think they stagger like each month, so we'll get like a new one through this.
So we should just take turns. Like you'll take Future Quest, then I'll do Scooby Doo and etc.
Cool, sounds good. I'll pick up Future Quest and give a full review in our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll happen. Alrighty, what have you been up to, Adam? We got a couple of games, comics. What you been?
I did actually read a comic, believe it or not.
Ooh,
I can't. Where is it? I'm just seeing if I have it nearby. I can't think of the name of it, and I'll try to find it and mention it next time. But it's just like this comic book that's basically this biographical comic book about this guy who's kind of a legend among certain types of Disney fans. He's this guy who worked at Disney World as a janitor, and then realized that basically as a janitor nobody was really paying attention to what he did, and so he proceeded to use his access just to like do all kinds of cool stuff. Just like would wander onto any ride he wants to, and just like walk around on the rides and stuff like that. So it's just basically a comic about the exploits of him and his best friend.
Nice. That actually sounds really fascinating.
It is. I'll have to pass it off to you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've enjoyed basically everything you passed off to me. That Andre the Giant one in particular was really cool.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Apparently there's another Andre the Giant graphic novel, is my understanding now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it available yet, but from what I understand, it's either out or coming out soon. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what that one's about.
Past that, I have beaten Dark Souls 3 another time and a half, I think.
Nice.
So that was cool. But then finally, like, my never-ending trail of me playing Dark Souls finally got broken up because Uncharted got released last week.
Yeah, that's right.
Uncharted 4, A Thief's End.
Oh, man. I haven't had a chance to play it because I'm not yet a dual adopter. But that will be a thing in the future for me. But I don't mind spoilers either. But I don't know if we want to do a spoiler review or do you want to just give thoughts? Because you beat it, right?
I have beaten it.
Oh, man.
I don't know how spoilerish we want to go. It's not like a particularly long game, I guess, but... Well, you don't really want it spoiled for you, do you?
No.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, no. But I figured I'd take the hit if people wanted to discuss, you know.
It's a great story. It's got some very impressive set pieces. I think it's at its pinnacle of cinematic quality. Like, you know, the Naughty Dog has just kind of mastered this art of putting you in a situation and allowing you to move and react and act freely, but at the same time weave in events that are like that are definitely scripted, but you'd never know that from the way the game plays. It feels like it literally feels like you're playing a movie.
Cool.
My biggest standout, if I had a negative thing to say about it, is partially because just as full disclosure, I'm not the hugest shooter fan, and so a lot of the shooting parts were just eh.
Okay.
I'd find myself going like, okay, well, because the story was amazing and the backgrounds were amazing and the all the other sequences were amazing, and so at worst there was just points where I'm like, okay, so I have to shoot a bunch of guys so I can keep the story going forward here.
Okay.
I will say, this is, I guess, not particularly spoilerish, but if you're like super hypersensitive, you may just want to fast forward a little bit. Story's freaking amazing. Story's extremely satisfying. Ending is very satisfying and definitive. This is the end of this Uncharted series, though just at a glance, I could see how they could continue the series without Nathan Drake.
Hmm.
So I would not put it past Naughty Dog that there could be some kind of spin-off in the future.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think those are kind of the big points. I think it's kind of a very personal story, and I think it very effectively ends Nathan Drake's story.
Very cool. Very glad to hear it too, because endings are tough, especially in the digital age where it's either amazing or it sucks. There's no in between. So I'm glad to hear that it's pretty overwhelmingly positive across the board for the ending.
I will say, I guess this is pretty early game, so I won't really consider it a spoiler. You do play quite a bit in the past. It definitely does take quite a bit of time to explore the relationship between Nathan Drake and Sam Drake.
Cool.
Sam Drake, if you don't know, well, hopefully you do. This shouldn't be a spoiler, because this has been like one of the big banner things. Is a major component and a new component to the series is your brother.
Mm.
Please tell me you do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely watch the trailers.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty much out there. It shouldn't be a spoiler to anybody who knows anything casually about Uncharted.
Yeah, no, it was made pretty clear.
So basically, you need to schedule a trip back to. What really needs to happen is you need to schedule a trip eventually, like you desperately need to, because we all want to see you. You need to come back to Eugene.
The plan is summer.
So I think we should set aside a day where you could just come over to my house, or I bring my PS4 over to your house, and you could just sit there and marathon that bastard.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Order some pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
It sounds like a lot of fun, because you know what? I actually like watching people play video games. I am actually almost completely as content watching somebody play a game as I am myself playing a game.
I am too, actually. I think it's very comforting to me, actually, to just kind of hang out and watch somebody play a video game. It's cool. I kind of miss those days. Everything is online now, where you can't just pass the controller back and forth. It feels like those days are over. Split screening and I died and player two's turn. Good days. Alrighty.
So, beyond that, I guess there's a couple other viewing pop culture things I want to talk about.
Yes.
We are now at the precipice of the season finale of The Flash.
Yes, we are. Big things are happening, and big things could continue to happen next Tuesday.
And I'm sorry, this is going to be spoilery, because I just want to talk about it. This is part of the reason I called this podcast, is because I want to discuss it. I got to be honest, I was kind of disappointed with the way the penultimate episode of season 2 ended. I thought it was a rare, and perhaps for me, the first misstep I've felt the Flash has taken.
And yeah, I'm gonna reiterate: spoilers. Yeah, the fridging of Henry Allen. Possibly because it cut away. We didn't see a body drop, so he could just phase right back out. But I have a feeling they're probably gonna kill off his dad.
So what did you think? I'll go into detail on my opinion in just a little bit, but why don't we give you a chance to frame out your basic take on it before I do?
Honestly, I feel like, all right, if I'm being very critical, which I will be right now, I feel like if Henry Allen does die, that it will be a very poor decision, and I will always wonder if it was a budgetary choice, like did they not have enough to pay John Wesley Shipp, which I doubt. I just think it's like we finally start to get to know this guy. He joins the ensemble of the show. He fits in really, really well, and it gives Barry like an opportunity, a mentor figure that we know isn't going to freaking betray him, because that's like a running theme so far in the show. And I'd be really, really disappointed if none of those themes were explored. And if it's just like, yep, he's dead right after he gets over his mom, here's another tragedy, yay! I think it just would be way too much, and I would actually be kind of upset. But that's my kind of just 2 cents off the top.
Okay, this is really interesting because my opinion, actually, believe it or not, varies somewhat from that.
Okay.
So, okay, here's kind of my opinion. Here's like the first thing. This is why I didn't like this choice. Is the episode before it, when Barry's in the Speed Force, was an amazing episode.
Kevin Smith directed.
Yes, he did. And I thought it was really important. I thought it was, like, the last few moments with his mom were, like, represented a huge bit of potential character growth for Barry. The whole concept, like, where his mom / the Speed Force finally tells him that, you know what, you can never prevent this sea of troubles that will constantly, these sea of tragedies that will constantly be headed your way. You have to learn to let go and to run free.
Yeah.
And I think that was huge, because that is ultimately, because this whole, like, the whole character arc of Barry, particularly in this season, has been this, oh man, I have to protect everybody, and I've failed to protect people, and, what can I do, because I can't be close to people because I might let them down. And this was, kind of like the key, like the final drop. This is what he needs to become the Flash, is he needs to accept bad things are going to happen. He can't always stop them, but that shouldn't prevent him from trying. And that was a huge step forward. And I'm worried that one episode after that, killing off his father, is going to undo all of that character growth.
Yeah, make him take a few steps back again.
Right, and kind of put it back into the status quo. That being said, I haven't seen where they're going to go with this. They might surprise me. I also just kind of some other gripes is it felt really obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Episode, it just kind of felt like you kind of knew where this was going. And also at this point, admittedly, I'm kind of tired of, like, Zoom's constant master plan seems to be, wahaha, I'm going to grab your loved one.
Yep.
And it's like, this is like, it works once. It might have worked twice. But now, when it's like the third or the fourth time this has happened this season, it's like, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is the point of the season where, admittedly, and it usually doesn't happen in the penultimate episode. It usually happens like a few episodes previous, where I feel like this is the detriment, like the obvious detriment, the huge detriment of a 22-plus episode season.
Right.
Where it's like, man, like, what can we do for Caitlin? I don't know, Zoom can kidnap her. It's like, really? That's it? Oh, what can we do for Henry? Oh, Zoom can kidnap him.
Right.
It's like, guys, just make up your mind, decide on one. But then they go, well, we have 22 episodes to fill. And so I feel their pain on one end, yet it's painful on the other as a viewer sometimes, because it's like, come on, how much can you just stretch it?
And I agree. I am a huge advocate of, like, the 12-episode season.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it cuts out a lot of the bullshit and forces you to kind of get to the point. Other part of that, big thing from that is I think desperately what the Flash needs next season, I think, to stay fresh and to move forward, they need a villain that's not a speedster.
Yes.
They need to find something new to do because it's kind of feeling old at this point.
Yeah.
Now, here's the controversial thing, Chaz, that that kind of goes against what you're saying. I think Henry Allen was always on the chopping block, and I don't necessarily think that was the problem. Here's the thing for me, and, it's clear you like the character Henry Allen, but here's kind of how I see it, just kind of very bluntly looking at the structure of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Barry's got 3 dads right now. He's got Joe, Joe kind of represents his kind of spiritual father. He's the one that taught him how to be the man that he is. He's the one who's taught Barry the morals that what he stands for, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very central in life for that. Then we have Harrison Wells Part 2, which you can just lump into 1 and 2, really.
Yeah.
And he's Barry's like professional and kind of mental father. He's kind of his mentor. This is a guy that is helping him, in kind of as a scientist and as a superhero aspire to be the best he can be, to grow, to become greater. Henry is just kind of there. He's like the biological dad, but it kind of feels like because he was in jail for most of this, like those areas where Barry needs like a father figure have kind of been filled already. That's kind of a little cold, I know.
It's not inaccurate.
Yeah, and so that's kind of why I think he was always a little superfluous. He was kind of there in their back pocket for when they needed a dramatic death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I think mainly I like John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah, and like there's no argument that he's a talented actor and he's done a great role in the show. That's nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
Yeah, can I throw a theory out there?
Yeah.
I think due to a hint dropped in an earlier episode, the man in the mask in Zoom's little bunker is John Wesley Shipp, a.k.a. the real Jay Garrick of Earth 2. That is who I think the man in the mask is. Because Henry Allen says, Garrick, that's my mother's maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
So in Earth 2, his mom didn't get married when she had him. And so instead, Henry Allen, he's James Garrick or something.
I think it's one of two possibilities. I really think it's either him or it's going to be Wally West.
Maybe he's like Earth 2 Wally West?
Yes.
Oh, because I think Earth 1 Wally West, I think he's going to have powers.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true too.
Yeah, because one thing I did appreciate about this episode was the dinner scene. Like, even though it was kind of like obvious, he's going to grab him and take his dad away, the stuff with Wally I thought was really good. Where it's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Because he's the only one in that room that's out of the loop. He's the only one. Everyone else knows. Everyone else knows exactly what's happening, who everyone is, and Wally's like, wait, what did you mean see stuff? Wait, huh? And then when Zoom comes in, and then all of a sudden Barry's gone, it's like, that's Wally just getting everything, flash fire, rapid fire, no time to process. And I really appreciated that because that gives, to me, it makes the whole Wally story maybe even more interesting than the main conflict at this point in time, because I want to see what happens with that kid. I like him.
And once again, as like kind of a point back to the potential death of his father, like part of me, like one of the specific examples is like we've been playing for a really long time of like this will they, won't they for Iris and Wally, and I just kind of want them to get on with that, and I'll be really annoyed if all of a sudden
Barry?
Or Iris and Barry, sorry. Iris and Wally. That's like a Game of Thrones type of thing right there.
That's something that maybe that company we mentioned earlier.
Anyways, Barry and Iris, because they were now like this close to getting together, as everybody obviously knows that they should, just so we can have it over with. Mm-hmm. I'll be really annoyed if he backs off because of this.
Oh man, yeah. Like now that you bring it up and you bring it up so articulated, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Just undo a whole season's worth of growth.
That's my concern. It's like that will piss me off to no end if that's what they did with like this very conveniently, because you really, it's time to see Barry be a little less angsty.
I'm really hoping they don't Barney from How I Met Your Mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's like, let's just undo like the whole season of growth. He's the Flash, but he still questions everything.
Once again, not nitpicking too much. It's been a fantastic season. Like I said, the episode before was amazing. Like the episode before, I was actually in tears at one point because it was just really well done.
Yeah, it was.
Because you even though you knew his like mom was coming, you knew that was what they were winding up for. It still was really emotionally impactful when it happened.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Hmm.
And apparently, Kevin Smith will be back next season to direct more, so we'll get more of the direction, and maybe they'll bring back the same writer guy because he was really good too.
Only thing I probably didn't like about that episode was the gratuitous and out of place Jason Mewes cameo.
Yeah.
He kind of stuck out a little bit.
Well, apparently that was actually the producer's idea. It was not Kevin Smith's. He was like, would Jay do the show? And Kevin was like, of course he'll do the show. He's going to be with me anyway. So it wasn't Kev's idea. So we can't blame him for that. But, yeah, he was a little bit out of place. Like, bro, that's my car!
So, yeah. And I think we'll reserve our final judgment until we see how it plays out in the finale, which I'm definitely really excited for.
Yeah, they're going to race, I guess. That's
what I saw.
Yeah, like, wait, what? So that's another reason why I'm thinking maybe he doesn't off his dad. I'm like, wait, they're going to race? That seems a little impersonal for a guy who just murdered your father. But, okay. All right.
So, moving past The Flash, there's probably another superhero thing we ought to discuss, another superhero piece of media that's occurred between point A and point B.
Yeah. What? Real quick, though, did you see this announcement? I don't know if we ever covered, because we didn't. Supergirl got picked up for the CW for Season 2.
I did see that. I haven't really watched an episode yet, so I don't really have an opinion.
And they recently announced one of the CW had confirmed that there is going to be a 4-part crossover next season between Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow.
I saw that. That sounds big.
That's going to be insane. And super fun, because I really liked the Flash Supergirl crossover. If you want to start with a Supergirl episode, start with that one. It's really good. It's a one and done, and you'll see the perks and the defaults, or defects, not defaults, the defects of Supergirl. You'll see all of the good and all of the bad in one episode. And it's got the Flash in it, so you'll have emotional grounding points.
Are you excited for Powerless?
I am actually surprised that Powerless got picked up, to be perfectly honest. And for those who don't know what Powerless is, it is a sitcom. Yeah, one of those, a sitcom based in the DC universe, involving people who are powerless. The average Joes who live in a world with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, with Alan Tudyk and Vanessa Hudgens.
And okay, this is why it's like, all right, you got a chance. Alan Tudyk, and more importantly, perhaps most importantly for me, Danny Pudi.
Really?
Yes, Abed.
I had no idea that he was in this show.
He's Vanessa Hudgens' coworker, and like almost for that reason alone, I'm willing to give this show a shot.
Cool.
My community loyalty will take me that far.
Cool. That actually makes me very excited. I'll check it out. I'll give it a go. And I'm a DC fanboy, so I was going to check it out anyway, give it a shot. But now I'm definitely going to check it out and give it a shot.
Yep.
So, cool. Powerless. That's the thing. I really hope it's not like, what was that one show? The one where he goes to India and runs the call center.
Oh, God.
Outsource?
Outsource.
I just got, when I heard the announcement, for some reason, Outsource flashed in my brain. I don't know why. I was just like, oh, I don't know. I feel like that's the one that's on at 9:30 on Thursday, and they just need to fill a spot after 30 Rock.
Didn't Parks and Rec bat in the 9:30 spot for quite a while?
They did, but then they got pushed to the 9 slot because they got really good. And yeah, but Outsourced was the 9:30 show for a while too.
So speaking of which, this is like seamless transition before we talk about Civil War,
Mhm.
because Parks and Recreation takes place in Pawnee, Indiana, and I just watched a movie that had a bunch of Pawnees in it. So my roommate and I like watched like The Revenant last night.
Ah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh, that was like torture.
Oh man, tell me about it.
Um, so basically, yeah, as people mostly know, it's because Leo won an Oscar because of it. And so basically, it's 2.5 hours, and it has like almost no through line. It's just like 2.5 hours of like random shots and stuff, and more or less, Leonardo DiCaprio's like hanging out with some trappers, and then he gets like jacked up by a bear, and then Tom Hardy murders his Indian child, and then like bounces, leaving him for dead, and then he comes back from the dead and wanders around for like 2 hours until he finally kills Tom Hardy, and then he dies. The end. Spoiler.
Cool. Sounds kind of like this year's version of The Road.
Yeah, it was just like it was a very beautiful film. Like the guy who directed it, who I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he also did Birdman.
Ah,
Is obviously a very pretty film director, but it was just like 2.5 hours, and it was like really, really rambly.
mm,
And it's just like, basically like 2.5 hours of like Leonardo DiCaprio looking like pissed and near death.
cool.
And then like Tom Hardy is basically doing his best Jeff Bridges from True Grit impersonation.
Cool.
And then it's also got the general from Force Awakens as like the head of the trappers.
Like, did they ever break out into song, being
No.
trappers and all?
Oh, this is not. This Cannibals the musical. This was not.
Damn it. That would have been cool.
So yeah, it was not that great. I thought, other than the bear scene. The bear scene was kind of nuts.
Cool. Bunch of grunty and disgruntled Leo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fun.
He kind of looks like a meth addict by the end.
Oh, cool. Wait, why did I say cool? That's not cool. It's almost 2 a.m. All right, what else do we got to cover? Let's see. What should we hit first? Let's do this. So Warner Brothers is making some big changes to the DC Comics film department in the wake of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So we got, basically, from what I'm reading here, we basically have a Kevin Feige for DC now. Is that what
That's probably good.
Yeah, that's good. So, Chief Creative Officer Jeff Johns, my favorite, is set to co-run a dedicated film division with current Warner Brothers Pictures Executive VP John Berg. Thoughts? My thoughts, very positive. I think that he can inject some life. He knows what he's doing. He's worked on things like Injustice. He's worked on things like the animated division, and he's been a quote unquote producer for these movies, but never in like a position of real decision making. So I'm excited to see if he can, move things in the right direction for DC's film stuff.
I don't really have an opinion. Just show me better movies, and then we'll talk.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, like pretty basic.
Yeah, I think it's a good decision because I feel like they need a guiding force, because that's Marvel's secret weapon, in my opinion, is a guy like Kevin Feige, the guy who says yes, and the guy who says no, and the guy who says, well, we can do this, but we should not do that. And I feel that Jeff Johns could be that guy, and John Berg could be that guy too. I don't know anything about him, so I can't give really any opinions about John Berg, but hopefully this is a step in the right direction to kind of fix some things, because it's still early enough that you can course correct and still make this incredibly profitable and marketable and very fun experience for all. All right.
Yes.
So what else are we hitting this week?
I don't know, Civil War maybe?
Yeah, we could hit Civil War. Do you want to talk about this news real quick, or do we want to hit it afterwards about Michael B. Jordan?
Let's just get that out of the way. We'll end with Civil War.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. He's going to be crossing, well, not crossing universes because he hasn't done the DC thing, but he's gone from Marvel to Marvel, Human Torch to the villain? Question mark. And Ryan Coogler directed the Black Panther coming out very, very shortly. I believe 2017. Yes, 2017 for Black Panther. So Michael B. Jordan joining the cast along with the already awesome, what's his name?
Oh God, it's really hard to pronounce, isn't it?
Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, no, never mind. I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of the guy who's, I think, the bad guy in, like, Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah, that guy. The dude from Firefly.
Yeah.
Or, well, Serenity, that movie.
Mm.
Yeah, so he'll be joining Chadwick Boseman as the bad guy, maybe? Which is pretty freaking cool because I like all three of those people. Ryan Coogler made an awesome movie in Creed, and I haven't seen Fruitvale Station. I hear it's good, but I freaking loved Creed. I loved Michael B. Jordan in Creed, and those two can team up all they want, in my opinion.
Yes.
And Chadwick Boseman was freaking awesome in Civil War, which we will talk about. And yeah, I'm super stoked for this movie. It's going to be freaking kick-ass.
Yeah, I think Michael B. Jordan's one of the best young actors working today. I mean, he's just really fantastic.
Yes. Agreed. So there you go. There's your news and views and opinions about things in the world of pop culture. And now we're going to get into a big thing.
Can I ask a question before we do?
Of course.
Who is, like, Black Panther's arch-villain? Does he have one?
Well, Andy Serkis played a pretty big one in Age of Ultron, but I think he got, like, blown up, didn't he? So
something like that. But Claw was one of his major villains.
Yeah, so it can't be him in this movie.
Is, like, the dude that has, like, the intelligent monkeys, is he one of the bad guys? Like, that sounds really awful in context of Black Panther. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, let's see. What was his name? Oh, damn it! It's not the man-ape, is it?
No, I thought it was a dude that had a bunch of super intelligent apes. Okay, once again, I'm not being racist. If I recall, it was a white guy that has actual monkeys that are like intelligent monkeys.
It's the comics that are racist, people, not us. Oh man, I can't find it.
I'm looking at Black Panther villains.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely the White Wolf is pretty cool. He's the adopted older brother of the Black Panther. He was pretty cool. So yeah, Ulysses Claw is the guy that what's his name? Snoke played. Andy Serkis. Yeah.
Okay, so there's Man-Ape. I also might be slightly confused, but I think the character I saw was in the context of Amalgam, which is probably not.
Oh no,
it's probably not wholly accurate to the actual Black Panther universe.
The Amalgam universe. Oh man, Dark Claw. Oof.
We should have an episode where we just do readings of Amalgam comics.
We should.
Dramatic readings of Amalgam comics.
Well, what about this guy, Arkaby?
I saw that name pop up.
I don't know who that guy is, to be perfectly honest. He looks like a ripoff of the ventriloquist, because he's got a little puppet on his hand. In Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan could have a little puppet of Michael B. Jordan and just be like, "Hey, I'm Michael B. Jordan. I'm your bad guy."
It kind of feels like, and like once again, like this is in the historical context of when this character came out. It's like Marvel was like, "Yeah, we made a black superhero. Oh, cool. Does he have like interesting supporting characters and like and villains and stuff? Yeah, we made a black superhero."
Yeah, but does he have like a good antagonist to propel his story forward? A guy in a monkey costume.
Oh, luckily, as we'll get to talking here, Civil War did probably corrected the ship and did some real justice to Black Panther.
Oh no, Man-Ape. I'm reading about Man-Ape. It's really bad.
What is the deal with Man-Ape?
Alrighty, so Man-Ape, ladies and gentlemen, is a fictional character. I would freaking hope so. So
It's just like people are like confused. Like, where can I find this guy?
yeah, is he real? Um, he became one of Wakanda's greatest warriors, second only to the Black Panther. He plotted to usurp the throne of Wakanda with the help of the outlawed rival White Gorilla cult and return Wakanda to a primitive state. Yeah, so and he dresses himself in a giant ape costume.
That sounds like a racial slur, like Man-Ape.
It does.
It sounds
It
like
sounds
something
awful.
the KKK would say.
Oh man, he allied himself with the original Lethal Legion, with like Grim Reaper and Swordsman and stuff. He is the first member met by the Avengers. He attacks Captain America, but basically he gets his ass beat, and Black Panther like kicks him in the face. And yep, that's pretty much what happens. Man-Ape's powers and abilities. He gained superhuman powers by consuming the flesh of a sacred white gorilla and bathing in white gorilla blood, enchanting him through the mystical transference of the abilities of the rare Wakandan white gorilla. His name is M'Baku, and he got mystically augmented powers, including superhuman strength, speed, agility, stamina, and durability equal to that of mystical Wakandan white gorilla.
So he has like superhuman like sign language, like Coco the gorilla.
Yeah, pretty much. Aim, want, raindrop, drink.
Just off his rampage, just give him a kitten. He'll be fine.
Man-Ape, want, raindrop, drink.
Oh, mystical white gorilla, yes.
Mystical white gorilla. Yep, comics. Good job. Good job, comics. Oh, man. And this history lesson has been brought to you by middleofnowheregaming.com. Make sure to follow and like and watch.
He should have been way cooler. He should have like consumed the flesh of one of those Congo apes.
Oh, man. Like the really angry one who throws brains at people. That fucking movie. You remember Ernie Hudson in that shit? He was the best.
It's been forever since I've seen Congo. I know that vaguely know that he's in it and Bruce Campbell's in it.
Or he's like, that one lady from like the super rich company is like, I brought portable air conditioners. Shit, I'll take one. It's like, hell yeah. Ernie Hudson, you the man. And they randomly get attacked by a hippopotamus on the river. And
I feel like also like we're going to have to come up with like I think we're going to start an official checklist of things that Adam and Chaz must do when you come back to town. One is play Uncharted 4. 2, I think we should watch a back-to-back of Congo followed by Anaconda.
Oh, Anaconda. Oh man, Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube.
Yeah, Ice Cube, right? Ice Cube.
Whoa, that movie. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Congo, Anaconda. Yeah. So, okay, enough about the bad stuff that happened to Black Panther in the comic books in terms of his villains. Let's talk about the good stuff that's happening for this character and, like, every other character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's talk a little bit about Civil War. And just to give you a heads up, this will be very spoiler-heavy. We'll talk about some stuff. So, again, spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go. Spoilers. All right, here we go. Commence Civil War talk. I thought this movie was freaking awesome.
It's one of my favorite Marvel films. I still have to probably think a little bit more where it lands, but it's definitely probably in the top 3 or 4 or so, maybe very well at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just marvel, pun intended, at the Russo brothers' ability to juggle a gigantic ensemble?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, this movie has, like, 13 main characters. And every single one of them feels used properly, given proper amount of time, and, like, I don't feel like anything didn't connect the overall story.
Right.
Like, even if it was a little tangent, it eventually either tied in or moved something forward.
Do we just want to start shooting out kudos?
Sure, yeah.
Kudos, Russo brothers. You fleshed out Scarlet Witch and gave us a reason we should care about her.
Yeah, kudos. You also explored the Vision relationship, but didn't overdo it, but kind of introduced it a little bit. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's hard not to draw your eye directly towards, like, the airport scene's got to be one of probably my favorite film scenes of all time, period. I mean, it's so awesome.
Oh, man, and, like, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of people had seen it. A lot of the reviewers had seen it. And one of the things they were saying is that airport scene, man, that airport scene. And I remember watching it going, yeah, this is a pretty good scene. And then they start running at each other. And then the scene really starts. I was like, oh, that was a cool little, 5 minutes or so. Is that what they were talking about? Because that was good. And then they run at each other, and no, forget it. It's over. It's the best.
Yeah. One thing I kind of appreciated storytelling-wise, this is kind of interesting because it looped back around on the fact, is I was kind of commenting to my buddy before the movie came out, and we were just kind of adding, because, we've been waiting for this film, forever, because, I love Civil War is one of my all-time favorite comic book stories. And so I was naturally really stoked for this. And we were kind of analyzing the team up, the teams. And I was kind of commenting that I felt that Tony Stark's team seemed a little more powerful than Captain America's team. And I actually really, in the end, felt that it was addressed, because it was never that Captain America's team was going to win this one as a team. They weren't going to come out flat out victorious in this battle.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they did have to kind of sacrifice themselves in order to, move towards the greater goal.
Mm-hmm. And man, what about all the motivations? Another kudos. Everybody felt properly motivated, which admittedly is my biggest gripe with Batman v Superman. And I hate to bring someone down to bring another thing up, but not a whole lot of motivations were very clear. In this movie, everyone's motivations were pretty much made clear. Maybe Ant-Man's were questionable, but the thing is that he knew a guy, and he's a Captain America fan, and he's a former criminal, so of course he's not going to sign up with the damn government. So right then and there, justified.
He's also just kind of a little bit goofy, sure, I'll go do this. I think probably the only person I'd argue doesn't have a particularly strong motivation is probably Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Because he's just kind of there. He's just yep, Captain America called me, I'm totally on your team. Let's go.
Truth. But I also wonder if there's more to it than that, if they'll ever explore it. Probably not, but there's a part of me that feels like maybe Hawkeye just doesn't trust the government, maybe because he used to work for him or something.
That's a fair point, and if they could have drawn into that a little bit more to make that clearer.
Yeah.
I will actually say that, believe it or not, probably my favorite thing, maybe in the entire movie, honestly, was Ant-Man. I actually really, really liked Ant-Man. I thought he was hilarious. Yes.
His line when he got out of the van about, hey, I know you too. You're great. I love that. And grabbing Chris Evans' shoulders, I feel like that whole thing was improvised.
It just kind of felt like he kind of provided some much needed comic relief. And come on, one of the best holy shit, spoilers again, biggest holy shit moments of the entire film is when he goes into Giant Man mode.
Oh yeah.
I marked the fuck out the second that happened.
That was so cool. I knew it was coming because of toilers, if you will, because they released a Giant Man Funko Pop, and I'm like, oh man, does he actually become Giant Man in the movie? And there was a part of me that was just nah, this is a toy thing, like Luthor armor in the toy line, or they made a Demolition Man toy for the Marvel line, and I'm like, Demolition Man's not in this stupid movie. So I was like, maybe Giant Man isn't actually going to be in this movie. Maybe it's just a toy that they can differentiate from the Ant-Man one. No, he was in it, and it was fucking outstanding.
Yeah, I was lucky because I had no clue. It was just at first I was confused when he's like, well, I could do something, but I've only done it once in a lab. I thought he was talking about going subatomic. So I was really lucky that wasn't spoiled for me, which is really dumb because then they released like a TV commercial with him doing it
Aw.
right after. I'm like, why would you spoil that? It's one of the best surprises of the entire film. And just the way that everybody reacts when all of a sudden he becomes a giant.
Yeah, yeah, everyone's like, little man's big now.
I love, like, probably one of my favorite lines is, give me back my roadie.
Yeah. Or does anyone else have any amazing powers they want to unveil right now? Yeah.
So he was great and hilarious, and also we should probably also discuss his counterpart on the other side, the debut of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, Being in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
there's a particular scene, like, the movie's got the big words across, like, we're in Lagos right now, and we're in New York right now, and we're in, like, England somewhere right now, or
Mm-hmm.
they put the big words up on the screen, and when
Right.
Queens
Mm-hmm.
popped up on the screen here, audible cheers, because
Ah.
people are like, hey, we live here. And so that was really a fascinating movie-going experience. And my God, I admittedly, I was kind of burnt out with Spider-Man movies. I think most of us were,
Yeah.
because they'd been, like, there's some really good stuff there. Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to bring down all the Spider-Man movies, but they were starting to fizzle, and it kind of felt like, well, now they're just pushing it, and we had 5 of these in 10 years. That's a little much. But man, this kid, Tom Holland,
Mm-hmm.
I, like, wow. Like, where'd this guy come from? I know he came from somewhere. And did they just go out and find Spider-Man? Like, is Spider-Man actually real? Because this kid was Spider-Man to me.
Yeah, there's definitely some people out there who are still trying to be conservative and going like, well, Tobey Maguire is still probably a better Spider-Man. I don't think so. I think he kind of just absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, in like 3 scenes. I mean, one of them's a giant battle scene, and they just gave him a bunch of amazing quips. But that scene with Tony on the bed where he just kind of hints at what
Mm-hmm.
happened and
Yeah.
just like makes his motivations very clear, makes it like I got misty-eyed
Mm.
in that scene because I'm like, fuck, that is Spider-Man. That's the guy right there, man. That's that kid. And that was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, like I said, I think he really kind of nailed it. He's, maybe you could still make an argument for Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, but as Spider-Man, I mean, he's hands down the best Spider-Man. Like, I mean, just the way he was like wisecracking and just kind of also just like the kind of sheer joy and awe that he had when he was like fighting against and alongside these other kind of like titans.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like you've got a metal arm, dude. That's awesome. Like, just little things like that, or they're not stopping. Like, because that's such a goofy scene. Like, I mean, it's epic and amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, all right, Captain America's side is running because they got to get to that bunker. Iron Man's side is running, like, and Spider-Man's just like, what are we like? What are we doing? Why are we running? They're not stopping. And it's just, he brought a little bit more levity to a pretty serious movie.
And he's just like the fact that he just never stops like gibbering through the entire fight scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think Falcon even berates him a little bit, like, dude, like, right now it's not the time to to talk.
Plus, I mean, come on, it was also once again one of the top moments / lines is when he's like, I have an idea. I saw this really old movie, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, like, where'd you get this, kid? Yep. Yeah, oh man, Spider-Man, nailed.
Black Panther, awesome.
Oh man, so good. My favorite thing about him is that they could have played him like rage-tastic if
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to, because the whole motivation is that he believes that Bucky Barnes killed his dad, in the bombing.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been very much like, I'll kill him, but he's a king. He's supposed to be regal. He's a leader. He's diplomatic, and he will kill him. He'll just do it very calmly because it is his duty to do so. And there was something just really unnerving, but also just fascinating and wholly awesome about how stoic he was when he was like, "That won't be necessary, Miss Romanoff. I will kill him myself," and just gets up and calmly walks away.
And how
sorry, go ahead.
And how I was gonna say, and how great was his his scene right towards the end of the film too, with Baron Zemo outside of the base.
Yeah. Oh man, and him being like, and knowing the comics and knowing that he's the quote unquote king of the dead, where he's that line, because Baron Zemo, he's done. His mission is accomplished. If you've seen the movie, you know his motivations. If you're listening to this, hopefully you've seen the movie, so you know what Baron Zemo is doing. And he's going to shoot himself. He's done. He's done. And Black Panther's like, nope, the living are not done with you yet. And, oh, so good. So good.
And can I actually say, I've seen some people kind of throw some shade, and I even think you noted that you thought he was mediocre. I actually really liked Baron Zemo. I think that he wasn't the Baron Zemo from the comics, but I thought it was refreshing because I liked the fact that first of all, he was always going to be background to what was going on, because this is a spectacle about superheroes fighting superheroes. But I like at the end of the day that you find out that there's no evil plan to take over the world or something like that. It was just much like the entire film itself is just a very personal story. It was a guy whose family got killed, and now he wants to see see the people who are responsible suffer.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about it in that sense, but I feel like I almost feel like he wasn't even necessary to do the story. But I mean, I guess you needed someone to pit them against each other. But I kind of feel like the movie could have worked without him. I don't quite know how they would have manipulated it, but I just kind of feel like he was there. Do I appreciate that it wasn't a big, giant, world-ending machine like every other sequel Marvel movie? Yes, but I don't know.
He did need to be there because he was the one that finally pushed it over the edge. Because without him being there, all of this would have resolved out. But it was the fact that things got resolved, but Tony Stark was so far over so pushed so far past his limits at that point that was a capper. That dude is guess what? What you didn't know, Bucky Barnes killed your parents. Deal with that.
Yeah, all right. I guess you have a point.
And not to mention how kind of beautiful and heartbreaking, and it's kind of dawned on me more, is in the during the movie he's listening to that phone message, and you think that this is a guy who's got some kind of loving family back home that he's kind of doesn't have time for, and then that realization that voice message was from back during Avengers 2.
Yeah.
That's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, all right. You're making a good case.
Like I said, I think he's kind of awesome because he's by far the most intimate villain any Marvel film's had.
That is 100% true. He's not big bwahaha like everybody, like Red Skull or like a Loki.
It's a guy that you can honestly feel sorry for. His motivations, he's not he's a bad guy, but out of all the Marvel villains, you can understand where this guy's coming from.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And speaking of bad guys, I kind of want to see a little bit more of Thunderbolt Ross.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could be a really cool bad guy if they play it right. I don't know if he will be.
A lot of people said that they found Captain America arrogant and he was hard to root for. I didn't see it. Maybe it's because I'm Team Cap all the way.
Same. I didn't see that at all. I 100% agree. You don't want to be just sitting there with your hands freaking tied when you could go save the goddamn world. And they're like, nah, I'm not sure if you should cross that border. It's like, no, motherfucker, I'm a super soldier. I will go and save the world. I'm Team Cap all the way.
Too much for me. It feels like Iron Man wanted to be able to place a harness on everybody else because of the mistakes he fucking made.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to make everybody else pay for the screw-ups he had. Because basically, Avengers 2 was all his fault.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. I'm 100% Team Cap, and I will never be Team Iron Man. I like Team Iron Man just fine, but I will never be on that team.
It was also another really another really kind of awesome, to paraphrase a line, I don't know if I had the quote right. Is I loved when Iron Man said, we could really use a Hulk right now, and then Scarlet Witch Black Widow very aptly points out, do you really think he'd be siding with us?
Yeah, good point. he and Thunderbolt Ross don't really have the best of
I also kind
understanding.
of felt like Rhodey felt like a dick in the film too.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
Like that whole "Congratulations, Captain, you're a criminal."
Yeah, that's a little like, hey, come on, man, calm down a little bit. Can I mention how awesome the stuff with Bucky was? Because Bucky is one of my follow anywhere characters, and by that I
Hmm.
mean I'll read basically whatever book he's in. Um, like if he shows up on Agents of Shield in the comics, I'm gonna read that issue. Um, and just the little things that they did with him, where it's like, all those things I did, but well, like it wasn't your fault. It's like, yeah, but I still did them.
Hmm.
Or the do you even remember them? I remember all of them.
Yeah.
It's like that little stuff. I'm like, fuck yes. It's like they are nailing this guy. And there's a part of me like, when he gets frozen again, and Iron Man has Cap shield now.
Hmm.
There's a part of me that says, if you're gonna do it, which there's a part of me that sincerely doubts they are gonna do it. If they're gonna off Chris Evans at some point, you have an amazing scene where you thaw out a cured Bucky of all the brainwashing, and you have Tony Stark plop that shield at his feet and say, "Make amends, buddy." And I'm just like, fuck, that would be so cool for me, because that's essentially what it is in the comic. Like,
See, that would
Tony Stark puts that shield on the table and says, "You pick it up."
so that would be cool. I will tell you honestly. Here's my prediction.
Hmm.
Either A, it's going to be explained away that Wakanda, like basically Wakanda's going to make Cap a new shield. That's one. That's one possibility. What I think is entirely more likely, and like this is like I'd almost put like Vegas betting odds on this one. Avengers: Infinity War. Thanos shows up. Um, Iron Man Avengers try to go toe to toe with him and are fighting a losing battle until Cap and company show up. There will be some kind of quippy line like, "Hey, Captain, you forgot something."
Yeah.
Shield.
There you go. Olive branch extended, Avengers back together. Yeah, you're probably right.
I could be wrong, but those it seems like that's that's like the most obvious thing I could think of.
Hmm. Yeah, and I really don't think, as much as the fanboy in me kind of wants to see it just to go like, holy shit, they did it, I really doubt that they're ever going to off Chris Evans. He's too good. He's the face of that character, and hey man, as long as they're willing to pay his salary, he'll probably keep doing it. He seems to like it a lot, so.
He's like amazing. Like I said, really who knew he would have made such a good Captain America.
Yeah, I had no idea, but he's my favorite. And
Yeah, he really is too.
yeah,
For me too.
yeah, he's the best. He's just the best. And the way he's written, and can I just mention, like, the screenwriters of this also really, really get Black Widow.
Hmm.
Like, if she's ever in a movie, just have them write her scenes. Because, like, Age of Ultron, as much as, like, I enjoyed that movie, I thought she was written poorly in that movie. I thought the love story was a misstep. As much as I kind of think that's a neat idea, I think the way it was done was just, And then here comes this awesome, like this once again super awesome Black Widow in a Captain America movie. Like, I forget the guys who do the screenplay, but damn man, they just get Black Widow, and I kind of
pro Black Widow movie.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, get this team on it.
I think there should be a Black Widow movie. I also think that the supporting character should be Hawkeye.
That would be awesome.
Because I think that I think that Black Widow needs to be the lead in this, because I think she's the more interesting of the two characters, but I also think that their platonic relationship's really fascinating.
Agreed.
And so I think that he would add, and it would be also a really good chance to flesh out Hawkeye a little bit. But so I would really like to see Black Widow movie supported by Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of platonic relationships, again, the Cap and Widow relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, perfect. That whole thing where he's like, at the funeral, I'm not going to sign. Oh, I know. Then why are you here? Well, I don't think you should be alone. I'm just like, fuck, that's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just really good.
All right. So any last thoughts before we wrap this puppy up?
No, I think we covered all the bases. Well, not all of them, but plenty of them that happened between episodes.
Out of 10, what would you give Captain America: Civil War?
At the moment, I'm gonna go with a solid 9.5 because I don't know if it beats Winter Soldier for me yet because I haven't watched it 8 times.
I would go for probably right now 9.8, only because I think that Winter Soldier is probably a 10 for me. Simply, I think in my heart of hearts, it's probably the best Marvel film, if it's not surpassed by this one.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I need to watch it like a dozen more times and I'll figure it out. And even then, I'll probably flip flop like Empire.
Like the fanboy in me probably likes Avengers better, but as like just somebody who can be a little bit unbiased, just purely as a movie, I mean, Winter Soldier's so good. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's my favorite as of today. But tomorrow, I might say Civil War. So,
yeah.
If you haven't seen this movie, shame. Or like time. I understand that too. That makes sense. Alrighty. Anything to add before we close this bad boy up?
I'm good. Hopefully we'll be doing this soon. Doing this again sooner rather than later so we can talk about The Flash and maybe Extreme Rules.
Yeah, The Flash, Extreme Rules, all the things in the world of comics, TV, movies, video games, pop culture in general. This has been your friendly neighborhood fanboys brought to you by middleofnowheregaming.com. Make sure to bookmark middleofnowheregaming.com, your news source, review source, super fun article source. You can get all of it at middleofnowheregaming.com. You can also watch Mong Plays on Twitch and on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can like us on Facebook. Send emails, comments, concerns, questions to fnfanboys@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at fnfanboys. For Adam Leonard, I'm Chaz King, Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys. We will be back very soon. We promise.